What is up, everybody? It's late. It's 12:45 a.m. Not p.m. 12:45 a.m. And I just got home. I've been working a lot. And I want to talk about stress a little bit. You know, there's probably not even going to be a lot of people who watch this live because everybody's asleep. But at least you'll watch it in the morning, or at least you'll get access to this in the morning. But stress can be handled in so many different ways. I tend to handle stress internally a lot. Like, I had a conversation with one of my best friends when I was driving home, and I was talking about how I keep a lot of my stress internally. You know, I don't really project out stress. If you really are close to me, only a couple people, whether they're family or if I'm dating somebody, if it's my girlfriend or something, or some of my really, really close friends, they know when I'm stressed and I react. But 95% of the people in the world don't know how I react with stress. And over the last month, I've got more on my plate than I've ever had in my life. And I'm not able to meet every demand. I literally am not. I'm literally putting 100% of my faith right now in that God's just going to figure it out. And that's, of course, been a very easy thing for me to do in the past. But when it's this much, it's every second of every day, I literally don't know how everything gets done. I don't know how I have enough time. I don't know how, it becomes really freaky. Now, I'm an astrologer, so I do like to mix the astrology in. The sun is opposing the midpoint of Mars and Saturn. It doesn't matter if they are in whatever sign that's going on. That's rough. We are all facing, the rough opposition to things in our life. And I think it's ironic it's happening this weekend, which is Memorial Day. It's typically a very kind of hurrah moment, but here is Saturn in the middle of it. Here is Mars changing signs into Scorpio tomorrow. And it's just not easy, because I feel like some of us out there might feel overloaded, and then there's some people out there who I feel underloaded, like they don't have enough going on. I don't think there's any gray in this. For me, I'm in the overloaded, and I'm overstressed, because every week I have to get up 22 videos on the app a week. I have to do the uncut every week. I now run a night at a nightclub on Thursday nights. And these are all good things. If you watch the title, this ends in a blessing. I overbooked myself in readings 2 months ago for 15-minute readings, and I don't know how I'm going to get them all done. I told everybody I'd try and get them all done by May 31st, and it's man, I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't know. I have to face that too. I have to face all these people and be hey, I need more time. It's I don't know what else to do. It's on top of that, I got 3 gigs I got to go to, and I got responsibilities to bring people to, being a DJ is not an easy job. Not only being the promoter, not only being somebody who books the DJs too, but also being the performer at different events at different times during a holiday weekend, while you still got to get the videos up for the app, while you got to deal with all these things. And then now I'm running a huge event in July because I need to do a retreat. It's been a year since I did any talks, and people want to meet me in person and do astrology in crazy ways. And the only way to do that is when you do conferences. And I like to do bigger, bolder conferences. And so, it's dealing with all the hotels, and dealing with the people, and dealing with the bookings of that, all in the middle of all this. And then on top of that, and I don't want to really talk about this stuff because, this is more private stuff, but it's I'm working on a TV show right now about the Leo King. And so I'm going to Hollywood and talking to people. Then I got a book deal that I'm working on. It's too much, and it's all a blessing. It's all, I mean, honestly, I would literally 6 years ago not believe this. I would also not, I feel bad. I feel bad because even though I appreciate it so much, it's just too much. It's too much at once. I can't handle it all. And I'm overstretched, and I'm the brand. And I think that this kind of goes into, there was a girl who came out that was an Instagram model like a year ago who stopped it because it was too stressful and it was ruining her life. And I did a talk about this like 8 or 9 months ago on how I was questioning of whether or not being a social media personality ruins your life or not. I teeter that question a lot, because it's, especially being a TV personality and a musician and, an app personality all in one. It's like, whether I'm going on a TV show or whether I'm doing an app video or whether I'm got to do a big DJ gig or whether I got to promote that night or whether I got to book a table or whether I got to get that DJ to come through. It's like, how in the hell? It's literally too much. And it sounds like, I'm complaining, and I'm not. All I'm saying is, how do you deal with stress? We all have our own ways, and I used to deal with it with cigarettes. I used to deal with it with drugs. And I haven't done any of that for 4 years now. And so it's been really rough for me. I go to therapy once a week, and that helps, but that doesn't, still not enough, It actually, therapy is now becoming to where that's like a time constraint, And the only thing getting me through right now is literally, I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. I'm like, I'm just throwing my hands up in the air about everything right now, and if it falls, it falls, There's like, they think this great fear of things being destroyed. And I think that's Mars getting retrograde back into Scorpio starting tomorrow for the next 2 months. I think we all have to face our own deep, extreme fears of things collapsing, falling, and breaking apart and dying. And, tonight I kind of reached a point where, like, I have just too much going on in the next week that it's like I can't do it all. And I have too many things that have built up over time that I can't finish it all. And am I going to overstress myself and kill myself about it? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't know how other people deal with it. I mean, somebody I think just wrote meditation, and I'm going to be very honest with you. Like, I am extremely, and if you watch this channel, and if you don't know me as an astrologer, like, I'm an astrologer, so I'm going to talk astrology. I'm 100% mercurial. I'm just not built for that. I'm just not built for meditation. I really am not. Like, I meditate on the fly. I'm very good intuitive, but sitting still and stopping with so much going on is chaotic for me. I feel more comfortable running in the chaos than I do sitting in the stillness, That's me. It kind of brought up my whole panic and anxiety disorder that I started going through years ago by stopping. There's something about stopping that really screws me up. And I don't know. It's just like I think we're all kind of freaked out on how this is all going to go in our lives right now. This is intense times, but it's really not. It's all on how you're just dealing with it internally. And for me, it's been a struggle. Just today, I think especially. with all that I have going on, and I have all this pressure of deadlines, and I can't make the deadlines, and I promise people deadlines, and I can't make the deadlines. And especially like spiritual work, you can't force it. It's like trying to force to have a painting done. Like, you can't have an artist. Like, I paid an artist 3 years ago to do a painting for me. She still hasn't sent me the painting. You know what I mean? That's just like kind of how art and spirituality works. And it's like, it's not easy being in business, spiritual business, like, and having to also be a performer and have to perform on cue when you're not in the right place, or you don't have enough energy, or you don't have enough time. And so I actually can relate with that that Instagram woman who, that young lady who pushed out and got out of the scene, because, and I can understand. I mean, I think it's a little different being an Instagram model where all you do is get in your bathing suit and like pose next to a product, and that's how you make your money. Like, mine's more about like really trying to shift the planet with positive energy and spirituality and light. So I think it's a little bit different, but there's a lot of common denominators when it comes to, you're the brand and you got to do your personality the whole time, and it's not easy, and you can't meet every demand, and you can't make it all happen at once, and it's stressful, and I don't deal with stress well, and I internalize it a lot, and that causes a lot of hardship for me. And I'm a very stressed out person, to be honest with everybody. I'm extremely stressed out, and I used to be the most calm person ever, and I used to be the most relaxed. And maybe that's why I used to smoke marijuana. Like, I used to smoke a lot of marijuana, and I was just real cool. But the only problem with that is I never got anything done. Now here I am manifesting mountains and dreams, but I'm extremely stressed. So how do you find a balance with that? Not do drugs. I'm not somebody who, I don't know. There's something about marijuana in me that just don't work with money. Marijuana, I'm broke every time I smoke. And I tell myself that, and that's why I haven't had any marijuana for 4 years. I'm broke every time I smoke. That's like my little line. And it really is true. Like, I really am not ever financially where I want to be when I'm smoking weed. Ever. Never have been in my life. Tried everything. So I quit. But I'm pretty much throwing it in the air for this weekend. I have so much happening over the next 4 days. Actually 5 coming into next week. And I have to hope that some people will want to have compassion and trust in God that it's all going to be perfect. And I think that's all we can do. And all we can do in this deeper dive into ourselves and our rawness and our openness. And, even though it's really late at night here in California, it's almost 1 a.m, and I'm doing a live feed talking about how my life is, so blessed, and I'm so stressed, and I'm too blessed to be stressed. My mom actually came up with that t-shirt company and that slogan. And that's the only thing that I guess can get me through stress, is that I'm too blessed to be stressed. And knowing that if I fail, I think I have a huge fear of failure. Like, if I fail people, like not being able to deliver all these readings on time, not being able to bring as many people as I want to bring to the club, not being able to, book all the DJs in the world that I can at the right time and the best ones, all these things. And this is my example, but it could be in your in any way. It's like there's just no way to live. I think you got to see that if one blessing didn't turn out the way that it's going to, there's another blessing that's going to come after it. And I think I know that. But there's something about this transit right now happening with Mars coming back into Scorpio, Sun opposing the malefics, Mars and Saturn retrograde, especially as Mars goes back home. It's like there's this, there's this really exciting, positive things happening while you're having to face a lot of a lot of conflict inside and a lot of doubt inside and a lot of other, kind of weird, fear stuff. And it's pointless, I think it's, and even though I don't want to like discredit my own feelings about things, it's like, I think that the worry and the not counting your blessings and realizing that another blessing is going to come right after it, it's like forgetting that. It's like thinking, oh, this is going to be the end all be all. This is going to be the boundary line. Mars represents in Scorpio extreme boundaries being drawn in the sand. And I think I got a little, to be honest with you, I got a little triggered. I posted this thing about Donald Trump today. It was so funny. I'm going down the 405 freeway, going up to LA for a big television meeting, and literally from Long Beach Airport, Donald Trump is being escorted out with like 7 police cars in 5, Tahoes. And there he is with the windows down. I'm not joking. In the seat, putting his arm out, putting thumbs up to everybody on the freeway. And we have a moment where we look at each other, and I put out the thumbs up, and I nod my head, and he's like, yeah, right? And so I put up a funny joke like, oh, it's 2 Leo risings looking at each other, having a moment, seeing if our hair is cool, and being like, oh yeah, we got this. And people wrote that they lost all their respect for me, and all the light work that I do, and all the spirituality I've done, and all the positivity I've tried to bring was thrown down the trash because I put that up on Facebook. I think that really triggered me a lot, and on top of all the stress I have, and then I'm compounding on all the stress, and it's like I can't. It's like how am I not going to take certain opportunities right now? I have some of the biggest opportunities in my life on my plate, but I also have obligations I have to do to others, and there's no way to do everything at the same time. And I think that's Jupiter square Saturn. It's like it's too much, but there's work to do, and there's too many opportunities, and you can't open all the doors without doing the work. You can't do all the work without opening all the opportunities. And it's with Neptune, this is just a very chaotic time that's going to build up. Like, people don't realize it's going to hit hard June 4th, and how to deal with it is like putting your hands up and just going with how you really feel, and just going with that feeling and trusting that feeling and just letting that feeling out and trusting that there's going to be another blessing after, if something does get destroyed or something doesn't work out. And I'm at a place where I'm just ready to just have to trust in that place. I don't know what else to say, It's rough, It's not easy. It's tough, It's tough. But it's not the end of the world. I think people are losing it right now. I can see where I almost can lose it, but I'm at a place where I know the astrology, so I'm like, this is not a time to lose it, because the universe is in kind of a lose it energy, so that's just normal. But this whole Donald Trump thing today really showed me that people are so triggered over hearing anything right now. A Trump supporter is going to be triggered by somebody talking about Bernie Sanders, or a Bernie Sanders supporter is going to be triggered hearing a Trump supporter. Or, to be honest, I don't even know any Hillary fans. I think it's hilarious. All I see are huge 25,000 people rallies for Bernie Sanders in California, huge 25,000 people supporters for Trump, and like 200 people at Hillary stuff. It's just like, it's like almost like, is the media pushing Hillary for something? Like, I don't know many people for Hillary. I really don't. It's funny. It's either Bernie Sanders or Trump. That's all I hear about, And that's a whole other subject. I don't want to get into politics right now. But all I'm saying is, people are so triggered right now. It's like, this is not a time to judge somebody off a post. Whatever it is. Whether I post that I like Sprite, or whether, some guy posts that he likes porno. It's like, whatever. You like porn? A lot of other people do. You like to eat meat? Whatever. You are vegan? Great. Like, the only way this place is ever going to be stress-free and chill is when people just, like, really chill out and accept people for who they are and relax on that. And I think learning patience right now is hard with Mercury stationary in Taurus. Patience is the hardest thing right now for anybody. Because it was easy in Taurus because the sun likes patience. But now that the sun's in Gemini and Venus is Gemini, and we have Venus in Gemini and Mercury in Taurus, and they're basically switched. They're in their different, they're not in their same homes. They switched places. So you know what that means? Patience is not simple. We want it now. Especially as Mars comes back into Scorpio. It's like we want things to happen now. We want to be able to have it now. So other side of the coin, people want things from me and I'm not going to be able to deliver, so they're going to be pissed at me. And I'm already like preparing for just people to be really pissed at me. And it's like, I can't do anything about it. That's just like where it's at right now. And I'm sure you're dealing with things in your life right now where people are pissed at you about something that you literally can't do anything about. Like so why stress about it, But if I had to pick a sign that represented stress, it would be Virgo. It's over-analyzing. It's trying to do too much at once. It's trying to stay on top of things all the time and not taking a break. And that's where the North Node in Jupiter is. And so I think it's weird. This might sound crazy, but I actually believe that the areas that lead towards stress are actually a place of where a lot of the growing is happening and a lot of where you can open up the most clarity and learn the most from right now. If you're not stressed right now and you're all kumbaya on Pisces and you're just kind of all out there floating around, I think you're kind of not learning the most extreme lessons. You always go to where the North Node and Jupiter are. So believe it or not, I believe the stress is a blessing. And I want to end this live video with the stress is a blessing. That there will be a blessing after whatever you fear will fall. There will be another blessing after it. And I think that's what to focus on instead of the collapse, of things when they happen. And I don't really know how else to put it, And to see what happens. The other thing is and I'm stressed, it's like, I got to go do this show in 2 months in Vegas, and I have fears to face with that, and I got to make sure, I have fears to face that people are going to show up. I got to get 200 people to show up. My last retreats, I got 50 people. The last one, I've had 100 people show up to another event before. It's like, now I'm going for 200, It's like, it's a big stress case, and I'm going to front the cash to hopefully make it work. And if they don't show up and nobody goes, and I lose all that, Risk is definitely something I'm not afraid to take, but it's just lots of stress. And I've kind of put myself in a position where I don't get a day off, And I was talking with my stepdad. He's a business owner too. He's owned a business for over 10 years. He's only actually been an entrepreneur for about 30 years. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're in your business, there's no such thing as a day off. There's no such thing. I have not had a day where I did not look at my phone, did not deal with somebody's problem, did not deal with an app issue or a question, or needing to send a text out to the app, or needing to get the video up, or needing to talk to this, or needing to check the YouTube, or needing to make a post on Facebook or whatever. Like, there has been no such thing as a day off for me in 4 days. I have not had a day where I literally didn't do anything Leo King related, anything in 4 years. And that's extreme stress. And I am like stuck. And, it's funny. If there's really any good master astrologers out there, they know that Leos are kind of stuck in that. Like, Leos are kind of stuck in not a very big, it's like constant work. It's Pluto in the 6th house. And, it's rough. So, I don't know if I'm going to ever get a day off from Spirit. The only time Spirit's going to give me a day off if it like throws me in the hospital or something, I guess. I don't know, and I don't want to go there. That's even a bigger fear. You know what I mean? That's like the biggest fear. So, I don't know. I think we're all going to face real big fears, and I'd be prepared. The next 2 months are about facing big fears, and you're going to realize at the end of the day that there's really nothing to be scared about. And we'll see how that goes, you know. So, last thing I want to say to everybody, if you watched my Uncut Horoscope this week, there's this new thing where I'm picking one person a week on Friday, where I check on my Facebook on the share list of the uncut video, where you actually get the awesome, cool piece of paper that I write all the transits with. I sign it, and then I'm going to ask you for your birthday. You don't need to post all your birthdays on the comments, on the shares or whatever, or even on the video. But you have to share it to your Facebook. All it is you push share underneath the video. And I will pick somebody, reach out to you, mail you it, and everything. And that's a new thing I'm doing to help with shares and to also connect with more of the fans one-on-one and give somebody an opportunity once a week to get a fun little quick reading from me for free and get something that kind of is like with them forever and kind of about the astrology of that week and why they were picked. Who knows? Maybe the universe had a reason for it. I believe that it's a way for me to do, you know, God's work with like kind of like a fun twist and see the irony in the situations that are going to come through it all, you know? So that'll be super interesting. But thanks for listening to this talk. I don't know if it was just a late night ramble, but I needed to get it out because of what I'm going through and to let everybody else know that, you know, you're not the only one out there that goes through this. We're all going through this, you know? And I think bringing all this stuff out is so important. And I think not being afraid to bring it out in public, not being afraid to bring it out to others, not being afraid to bring it out is so important right now, you know, because you don't want that stuff to sit in there, you know? And I love sharing this to people who follow me because I don't believe that people follow me. I just believe they've been blessed enough to have enough people that like want to like hang out with me and talk astrology. That's how I look at it. Or house music, like, because that's what I do. Or I'm just lucky enough that I have some people that just enjoy like the stuff I talk about, the stuff I put out there, the stuff I create. So I have no problem kind of like connecting and doing these live videos all the time and kind of just talking like as if we were talking. This is how I am. Like if you and I were to meet in person, like, you know, oh, I almost lost everybody, but this is how I am in person. Like you see what you get, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to go. I'm extremely beat, you know, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. Hope you all, you know, took something out of this video. I don't know. Maybe it's just me rambling about my freaking life. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. You know, I don't know. We'll see how it all goes, right? I'm going to post this on YouTube too, but I appreciate all the support, everybody. Thank you for everything. Hope you have a wonderful night. I'll talk to you all later. Ow! Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo.